Well, it's our opening act of Running with the Red Devils, a podcast that we're doing here at Lower Columbia College and with our athletic program. And I guess if you're going to start off, hey, start off with Mr. Please Please himself, the hottest man in show business right now, former Red Devil Buddy Black, who's with us at his home down in North County, San Diego. Bud, how you doing?
Kirk, I'm doing well. It's funny to call you Kirk, but I'll do that. As you know, we go way back, but Kirk, it's great to be on with you.
Yeah, well, hey, we're hanging in quarantine right now and ready to talk. And first of all, I guess we can start off with the fact that Major League Baseball's only got 5 rounds on the draft this year. And that probably wouldn't have done it for you back in your days from Mark Morris and LCC and at San Diego State. And we've got a guy that's hoping. What's your take on just having 5 rounds in the draft?
Well, it's come June 10th, right? If you do the math, roughly 30 teams, 5 rounds, 150, and I think there's a lot of comp picks in there and other types of picks in and around those first 5 rounds. But a lot of good players are not going to be selected, and there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be out there looking for those gems of players and those talented players who didn't get picked to try to sign them. So, I see this as a, sort of double-edged sword for a lot of players that, they'll be able, if they don't get picked, if they're not happy with their status as far as signing, they're going to continue their education, go into next year's draft, gain another year of experience in playing, and hopefully, put them in a better position talent-wise to get drafted. But this is a unique one. And I hear you got a kid up there at Lower Columbia who's a pretty talented player in this kid Guerrero. I have our guys doing a little bit of homework on him. I'm looking forward to getting a report back on him. So, I'll be following this fella.
Well, he's a left-handed pitcher who wears number 10 at Lower Columbia College. And that was kind of your deal back in the day. And but you were drafted 3 times and you opted not to. You went to Lower Columbia. Of course, we're always trying to recruit great players to do the JC route. And first of all, I want to ask you, did the dreams that you had when you made the decision to go to Lower Columbia, did they match up with your reality in all these years in professional baseball, or did you exceed what you were thinking back then? Well,
this is, looking back at it now, there's no doubt that I wouldn't be where I am without my 2 years at Lower Columbia. And back then, even coming out of Mark Morris High School, my aspirations, were the farthest thing from professional baseball. I was an undersized high school player, not physically mature. I was light years away from, professional baseball and even, Division I baseball. I wasn't ready for that. So LCC gave me, a great stepping stone to continue to play. Where if I would have went to a 4-year school and just continued my education, like it seemed as though I was going to, I was just going to, go on and maybe not pursue baseball. But, I got some great advice from Coach Ed Sheff, who's a legendary coach at LC, and from other people who encouraged me to stay in Longview, to stay at Lower Columbia and see where my baseball took me. And then, obviously my path became my path. But if it wasn't for Coach Sheff, even my father, who initially was a little reluctant, but he understood the benefits of going to LC. Some of my close friends, also persuaded me to think strongly about it. My teachers at Mark Morris said the same thing. So I got some great advice. I took it, and here we are.
Well, your first team under Ed Sheff, and I know everybody's got an Ed Sheff story if they played for him, but your first club was that 75-76 LCC team under Sheff. And what are some of the great memories that you have, and who are some of the great teammates that you had on that, your first LCC team?
Well, again, my clearest Ed Chef stories were off the field. I remember distinctly how, we fundraised a lot, right? We tried to, beef up our budget. And with Coach Chef, he was pretty creative. I just remember, two situations that are still clear in my mind. As a team, we went up into the woods, and basically, for lack of a better word, we did some logging. We went up and we set up camp for a couple nights. And I think we worked for some logging company, and we were, a group of 30 up there in the woods doing things that we'd never done before, camping out and looking back, what a great, bonding experience for a club. And this was, I got to say, this was like November, 1975. And another fundraising event used to be called a boxing smoker, where we would use the gym at Lower Columbia, Michael Bus Gym, and Ed would set up a ring, a legit boxing ring, and we would have Friday night fights in the gym, and we would pit high school against high school. We would have the toughest guys from R.I. Long, the toughest guys from Mark Morris, the toughest guys from Kelso, and we would put these guys in the ring and fight each other, and obviously paid attendance to come. And I remember those events as being a lot of fun. But again, we had good teams at Lower Columbia my 2 years. I mean, obviously we had good teams, prior to my time there, and great teams after, as a lot of championships. I think all of us who went through are very proud of the history. But my 2 years, obviously we won the Coastal Division twice with great records. We had great winning seasons. We fell short in the championship game in 1976, got beat by Yakima, who perennially had great teams. And then in the tournament of 1977, we got beat in the playoffs too and got eliminated and didn't get to the championship game. But, that first 76 team I thought was, a really good team. We had a great sophomore class, guys who went on to play, 4 years of baseball. And after, as you know, Kirk, after my freshman year, Coach Chef went to Lewis and Clark State over in Lewiston, and he took a lot of our guys from LCC. Mickey Brusco, amongst others. Mickey was a great player. Bob McElwain went to Gonzaga, but he took a lot of players from Lower Columbia over to Lewiston his first year. But we had a really good team. John Gossie, Jerry Green on the mound, two guys who played professional baseball. Bobby Terrell. Man, we had a good team. It was fun. I learned a lot from those guys because it's fun. You come out of high school, and you see those guys who are sophomores. Man, they seem like they're years and years older than you. But what a difference a year makes from freshman year to sophomore year. Really.
Jerry No Green stole my spikes, my baseball spikes.
I did not know that.
Still waiting on those. My white Pumas from Mark Morris. Apparently he got, he thought those were pretty cool. So they were gone. I don't know.
Well, I thought our high school unis, we were ahead of our time roll back then. We were we were parallel with the Oakland A's as far as our white shoes and our style, I thought, over at Mark Morris.
The powder blues. The one guy, I was looking at the roster of the 76 team. The one guy that I just can't remember, it doesn't stick out, Jim Tank. Do you remember Jim Tank?
Jim Tank was actually he was sort of his stature is sort of like his name. He was from Oregon, I believe. I think he was a catcher. But he was a good little player. Jim Tank. He was tough too, tough as nails. So his name sort of depicted who he was as a player.
All right. One word or one line on each of these guys, because we only have a half an hour on our first show, and if we go too long, you got other stuff to do.
Yeah, gotcha.
You already talked about Jerry No Green, John Goose Gossie, tough guy.
One word, or can it be a couple words?
Oh, yeah, all right. Whatever you need.
He was, big lefty. One word, I'd say, intimidating.
Yeah, we saw that in high school. The Steve Miller Band.
Good breaking ball. Hey, good hook. Good breaking ball. Hey, professional hook.
Bob Rock Kramer.
Ooh. Steady.
I still golf with Rocky. He's awesome.
Isn't he steady?
Oh, so steady. Greg Bangert, former Red Devil.
Nasty. Low 3/4.
Oh.
Sidearm delivery, loose. Yeah, nasty. Nasty stuff.
Glenn Johnson.
Ooh. Beard.
We had a beard.
I think beard.
All right. Hey. Eric Anderson, smooth.
Ooh, what a defender.
Oh yeah.
He was a premium defender in Little League, and it never stopped.
Yeah.
I've seen him over the years. He works for American Airlines. Good guy, Eric Anderson.
Yeah, you talked about Mickey Brusco. He's an LCC Hall of Famer, so enough said. Basketball, baseball.
Talented athlete.
Oh yeah, Brewer. Mike Souza.
Ooh. Souza, lefty. Souza. He was sort of multi-dimensional player for us.
Joe Manuarez.
Ooh, tough. From Wapato. Wapato tough. Hard guy. Hard-nosed player.
Yeah, I know a close friend of yours, Scott Broden. Brodash.
Dependable. I know I said that about Rock Hammer, but hey, steady and dependable, loyal.
Pretty funny, too. Funny guy.
Yeah, funny.
Ed Orizati.
Ed Orizati? Ed Orizati. One of three guys that came from Montana. Catcher. Again, sort of a fun-loving guy. I liked Eddie.
Bobby Blanchard.
Bobby was, you could count on Bobby. He was great, very good teammate, great personality.
Ken Anderson.
Quiet toughness. Left-handed hitting first baseman, had some power. He was a threat.
Well, this 76 Red Devil team might have been a record by having two guys on the team with the name Harry. Of course, you're one of them, and the other one is the legendary Harry Yules.
He was Freddie. He was LCC's version of Freddie Pot. LCC's version of Dustin Pedroia.
Scrapper.
Jose Altuve. Yeah,
Okay.
Little scrapper, little guy.
I got you. Bobby McElwain.
Smooth player. Great defender. Could run. Could swing the bat. All around player.
Speaking of smooth, Matt Minium.
Same. Great athlete. Great high school athlete. Great athlete in general. There wasn't much he couldn't do on the field.
Bobby Terrell.
Ooh. Right-handed power. Fun guy, but liked to compete. Right field, had a good arm. Good player. Winning player.
High school teammate of yours, also at LC, Ron Parsons.
We all know Pars. Tough, competitor. Had played hard. I mean, he always played hard, no matter the sport. And when he got to LC, I mean, ran the bases hard, swung hard, played hard. Always respected that about Ron.
Yeah, great guy. Dave Couture. Another
of the Montana guys. Had some speed, had some power, had some raw ability. Could run into a homer. He was an athletic player with not a lot of reps behind him from Montana, but good player.
Well, if you want to move back to Longview someday, you might want to contact the local realtor here in town, Dennis Coco Lavoie.
Love Coco Lavoie. Hey, good breaking ball too. Again, good facial hair, beard. Known for hitting one of our good friends, Kelly Smith, in the jaw in an American Legion game with a fastball in the jaw. Hence the nickname Kelly Jaws and Shake Smith.
Yes. Coco Lavoie. Greg Cusick.
Another fella out of the Portland area, hitter. Burly hitter. Catcher, first baseman type, but swung a very good bat, productive bat, middle of the order bat.
And it's a good thing we don't have like the current rosters of 35 to 40, because then we'd be here all day. You guys went about 25 deep, maybe. Don Matika.
Ooh, Don Matika from Southern, I believe he's from Medford. Again, very vocal, energetic player, good chatterer, positive guy. Had some skill, had some talent. I believe he caught and moved around. I think the thing about a smaller roster role, we had versatility. So guys were able to move around the diamond, and it gave Coach Sheff a lot of options.
Well, the next year, as you mentioned, Sheff went on to start his legendary career in Lewiston, and they decided to go for a high school guy out of Portland named Roger Clark. That only lasted 1 year, and I'm not sure it lasted the whole year, because it seemed like maybe towards the end there was a little check out there. But just talk a little bit about that year, because I know that was night and day from Sheff to Roger.
Well, again, I think Roger was a good guy, and ironically, I saw him a couple of years ago. He came down to a spring training game in Arizona. He came down to the dugout when I was managing and said hello. And he looked very similar to what he did back in the 70s. He was working for the Trailblazers, as a matter of fact. In an executive position, I believe in sales, but a really good guy. So the leadership styles were, different. Coach Sheff was stern, was tough, no nonsense, but Ed could have some fun. And Roger's style was more, lighthearted, more of an encourager, positive type leadership. And, two different styles of coaches. But, the group that we had, my sophomore year was, a pretty mature group. We had obviously a good year again. Won the conference, went to the tournament, didn't like I said earlier, didn't get to the championship game, but two different styles. And I'm not sure what happened there with Roger, thinking back, why it was only 1 year, but I got some good, fond memories of that 77 team.
Yeah, well, let's run down a few of those. Now, a lot of your teammates from 76 stayed on along with you, and but then there was some new guys that came in, like Clay Morgan.
Clay pitcher, I think he was, from, outside of the Seattle area, maybe Bremerton area, but big pitcher. Big physical pitcher with a good arm.
Mark Paris.
Same, another big right-handed pitcher with a good breaking ball. Not quite as good as Steve Miller's, but had a good breaking ball. Mark Paris.
Brad Peru.
Brad Peru. Brad Peru. I believe he was from Anacortes.
You remember him though, right?
Yeah. I think infielder, sort of slightly built, sort of a jack of all trades type player.
Tommy Ames from Kelso.
Ooh, local, Kelso, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fun, good guy. I mean, remember his being a very, very good teammate.
Jay Holtberg.
Jay Holtberg. Serious, but yet lighthearted, but sort of serious look all the time. Good fella, catcher, grinder type player.
Right across the street from me is a guy that, after Mark Morris, I think went to Treasure Valley. Then he came back, Sean Caber.
Yeah.
Caber. Yeah.
Well, I thought you were going to call him Abdul Kabar.
Well, I could have, but.
Yeah, you could have, but you didn't.
I did.
Sean was, talented athlete, right? Played the sports over at Mark Morris and came over to Lower Columbia. Worker, man, a lot of time in the cage. Was put in a lot of work, working on his swing and working on being a good player. So never doubted, Caves' work ethic.
Another guy off that team who pretty much has had a life in baseball, and I'm sure you've seen him now and then, the Seaman, Johnny Castleberry.
Saw him this past season. What a fun-loving guy. Still to this day, a lot of energy, regardless of the time of the day, early in the morning, late at night, middle of the day, just a bundle of energy. Good little infielder, good hands, loved baseball. Great passion for the game. He was a good Red Devil.
Oh yeah, Dan Eklund, Patch.
Yeah, tough little guy, Patch. Again, up from around Bremerton area. Tough little middle infielder, hard-nosed player. You want him on your side. He's a trench guy.
Mike Bertelot.
Hitter. I think Bertelot's from Portland area. Left-handed hitter. Might have been a switch hitter. Maybe one of the rare switch hitters that came through there. But bat first, defense second.
Greg Riley.
Big left-handed hitter, I believe. Outfielder, maybe first base. Greg Riley. I think a big left-handed hitter role.
All right, we have about, 5 or 6 more here. Steve Reno Sweet.
What? Hey, again, I know I've used the word smooth, but what a smooth athlete, right? I mean, very, very talented athletically, all sports. Could throw, could hit. Understood baseball. I mean, good athletic instincts. As you know, ping pong player, shoot a basketball, play golf, athlete.
Still has the pinball record at Lower Columbia, by the way.
Oh, he used to kill El Dorado.
Was that the hot game there back in the day?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he spent hours on it. He dominated. Him and Mickey Brusco, I think over a 3-year period, played more El Dorado than anybody in Longview history.
He got his AA in El Dorado.
Yeah.
Lawrence Pugh.
Big, physical, curly hair.
Alan Peak.
Jim Thome before Jim Thome. Burley, left-handed hitter.
Ben Emmons.
Ooh, tall. Ben, sort of sleek. Like Jim Ransom, bro.
Oh, San Diego State friend of ours. Just recently went into the LCC Hall of Fame, Bill Wog.
Good player. Had good actions as an infielder, as a shortstop, middle infielder, and had strength to his game. He could hit, he could throw. Bigger bodied junior college player at a premium position. Good player.
Should have came to San Diego State. We almost had him there. Almost had him. Scott Chapton.
Hitter. Sort of in the Bob Terrell mold. Right-handed power. Outfielder. Threat in the middle of the order.
And last but certainly not least, Ray Schatz.
You just threw that in there. There's no such guy.
Hey, yeah, there is. Hey,
no, there's not.
Here's the deal. Now, if these kids, they come to Lower Columbia and then they go on their 4-year, but I mean, you've got one of your closest friends is George Brett and Terry Francona and all these great relationships that you've had in Major League Baseball over your playing career. But you remember every guy at LCC. So I guess that just goes to show the impact that being a Red Devil can have.
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't realize the formative years that players have, sort of, make up your constitution. And, from the time you start playing, and whether it's Little League and then you advance and you keep playing, these years, build a foundation for who you are as a player, the competitiveness, the talent, what you learn, your instincts. And, all the way through my time in Longview and my time, through Lower Columbia, these were all great years of me becoming who I became. And the players that you play with, the coaches that are around you, have such an impact. And I think, that isn't talked about a lot by players, in interviews. I mean, you hear it, you hear about, the parents' impact, which obviously is important, and, high school coaches. But, the things you learn in and around being around guys and the guys that you play with and the things that you do, even off the field, as far as competition, builds you to who you are. And, my time, in Longview with obviously Kirk, our group of friends, and, the group of friends I had at Lower Columbia, I mean, made me, made my, what I'm, my constitution.
Well, you've continued to give back to the program with scholarships. I know it means a lot. We've won 3 straight titles, and we're on our way to maybe 4 this year. You never know in a baseball series or a game, but I know you have made reference in your press conferences, after the Rockies game, that, hey, the Lower Columbia team won another shot title, and I'm sure all the reporters are looking at each other going, what's he talking about? But, it's really appreciated around here in Longview. Really.
Well, I'm proud of the program, and I'm proud to say that I went there. And I don't tell you or others that this happens often, that I'll run into baseball people, scouts, at times executives, and they say, "Hey, I saw your name on the center field building at Lower Columbia College." It's a lot of professional baseball people run through Longview to see players. And it always makes me proud to know that LCC is referenced, or my name is referenced with the program. I'm very proud of that, and I think and you guys should be too. Everybody who's went through there, there's a tremendous tradition, as you know, and I'm always pulling for the Red Devils. And congratulations on 3 in a row. And it would have been 4. I know it would have, no doubt. Come on.
I don't think there's any doubt there. Well, maybe a little doubt, but hey, at least we would have been there. Now, the guys that played with you in 76 and 77, they're probably loving this to hear the scouting reports you've given. Other players or other fans are going, oh boy, this goes on.
Right.
Ask him the good questions. Ask him something about Major League Baseball. So before we go, and I know you've got to go, but give me the quick, first of all, giving up Reggie Jackson's 500th home run. Did you actually look at Reggie and cock the eye a little bit and go, hey, it's coming, big fella? Because you were ahead 10-0 at the time.
It was an important series. It really was. The Angels and the Royals were battling for a division title, and we had a 3-game series, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series in Anaheim, late September. I think September 24th, I believe. I'm reminded of that date all the time. But it was a big series, and I pitched on Friday night, and we had 2 young rookies behind me, Saberhagen and Gubazov, who went on to have great careers, and obviously Sabes was a 2-time Cy Young winner, and who's been to Longview, as you know, Roland. He's helped us out with some back in the day.
They still remember him at the Triangle Tavern over there.
Oh yeah. So anyhow, you're right. We had a big lead, and big crowds. And, a lot of people were there to see Reggie's 500. And I had a shutout going in the 8th inning. and fell behind in the count. It was a big. We were up 8 or 9-0. I can't really recall the score, and fell behind 3-1 to Reggie. And I wasn't gonna pitch around him. I wanted to continue on and attack. And I threw a fastball, right down the middle, and he clobbered it. And it had been he sat on 499 for a while. He hadn't. It wasn't easy for him to get to 500. So I think that took a little bit of the air out of his sails when he hit it. I mean, obviously he exhaled. It was as far as the game went, it was sort of anticlimactic because the Royals had a big lead. I mean, the fans obviously were excited to see number 500. But the cool thing, Reggie rounded third base and looked at me and that. And we both sort of knew that we were going to be connected, right, moving forward. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I've seen Reggie since, obviously, in a couple different times, and there's always, he knows who he hit his 500th off, and so do I. But it was pretty cool. And then the thing about it this was sort of weird. They had a big ceremony planned when he did it. So the owners came down, Gene Autry, his wife, some PR people came down to the third base dugout where the Angels were. There was like about a 15-minute delay in the game. There was a Reggie interview and the owners were talking, and I think we went off the field and then came back out when the umpire said, "Let's play ball." But that was cool. I mean, the main thing that we won that game, and it sort of loosened up for Sabes and Gooby not to give up 500. We went on to win the division. I think we won 2 out of 3 or swept them. I'm not sure, but we won the division in '84 and made the playoffs. So, that was good. That was good. Even though I'm on the wrong side of the memory or the stat, it's still a good memory.
Oh, absolutely. When you're ahead 8 or 9 runs, that's great. Yeah. And the last story I want to hear from you. Everybody knows all about the Pine Tar game and George Brett and everybody, but here's the story I want to hear and they just replayed this on the MLB Network the other day. And so, of course, I had to watch it. You had a pretty good game going until you kind of slipped in the 7th. But so you get taken out of the game, you're behind. So my guess is you're in the clubhouse, having a beverage or icing. Describe what happened when you were back in the training room in the clubhouse when that was all going on.
You're right. I was doing both, having a beverage and icing. I was in the Yankee Stadium training room, which is tiny, and there was a little black and white TV in there. I was in with our assistant trainer and another pitcher who came in. I think it was Mike Armstrong who came in after me. We were in there together. The 3 of us were watching the game unfold, and when George hit the homer, like everybody, jubilation, in the not only in the dugout but in the training room as well, right? I mean, we're giving high fives and we're saying, "Yeah, at a baby George," all the stuff that we do when good things happen. And then we saw the whole drama unfold with Billy Martin coming out, Tim McClellan getting the bat and laying it on the plate, and the camera panning to George in the dugout, back to the umpires, back to George, the umpires turning, walking towards our dugout with the bat, and McClellan raising his right arm and calling George out, and then George snapping. But immediately after that, so while George is going off, the bat boy somehow grabbed the bat and brought it back to our dugout somehow. And Gaylord Perry and Leon Roberts relayed the bat from one guy to the next and ended up in our clubhouse. And I'm hearing a lot of commotion up in our clubhouse with a couple players about, "Hey, hide the bat. put the bat away. Don't let the umpires come in and get the bat. You know, we got to hide the bat. We got to hide the evidence. So, so not too long after the argument died down, here comes 4 major league umpires into our clubhouse, which, you know, you never see that. I mean, it was sort of a weird visual. You never really see the umpires, but on the field. And to see them in the club, and Yankee Stadium at that time was a small clubhouse, old Yankee Stadium, to see the umpire sort of skewering around, agitated, asking, you know, clubhouse attendants, players, where's the bat? And everybody's saying, what do you mean? What bat? You guys had it last. We don't know where it is. So that, you know, that was funny initially. But, you know, what was weirder, Kirk, was going back to once Bobby reversed the ruling on the field, upheld our protest, and we went back to New York to finish off the game. Now that was eerie. That was weird to go. You know, we both had an off day. It was like 3 or 4 weeks later to New York to an empty Yankee Stadium to play basically 4 outs. And, you know, we were there roughly for an hour. You know, when we landed in New York, got on a bus, and there was, you know, maybe 15 of us who went. George didn't even go to the stadium. He stayed on the plane because he had been thrown out of the game.
Right.
And actually, he went to he and a few guys who were not playing got off the plane, went to a restaurant in nearby near the Newark airport. Since it was an off day, had a couple beverages. We went to Yankee Stadium. You know, obviously, I went because it was my day to throw on the side in between starts. We resumed the game. The Yankees went out and got, you know, their last out in the top of the 9th, and Dan Quisenberry came out and got the last 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and we secured the game. But what was weird about it, Ron Guidry was in center field. The pitcher Guidry played the outfield because you had to work with the roster that you had. Sure. Don Mattingly, normally a first baseman, was at second base. You know, we had to make a couple moves with our guys who were on the active roster in the initial game. You know, we did some things differently, but that was weird to go to Yankee Stadium without any fans. That was a weird one.
Crazy times. Well, buddy, I know you've got to go. You've got another Zoom call to get onto, but I can't tell you how much the Red Devil Nation appreciates you, waxing nostalgic about LCC, and like we always say here, once a devil, always a devil, and you are our initial guy on Running with the Red Devils. We appreciate it.
Hey, Roll, it's great to be on. Thank you. Like I said, I'm very proud of being a Devil, and I know that everybody who's went through there can probably say the same thing, but great memories. Thank you. Keep fighting the good fight, brother.
All right.
We're watching.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.